Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Here's where we turn pain into purpose because survival isn't a whisper, it's a roar. And before we get started, I need you to do a couple of things for me. The first thing I need is for you to go and like, share, and subscribe to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Secondly, where are you tuning in from? I'm here in Aiken, South Carolina. Where are you? Put it in the comment box below. Are you following me on all of my social media platforms? If not, please do at Gail Estella. And lastly, Through It All by Gail Estella. Have you purchased your copy yet? If you haven't, it's not too late. You can go to truevinepublishingcompany.org, amazon.com, or anywhere books are sold. October. October is a very special month to me. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And for those of you that don't know, I am a 33-year domestic abuse survivor. So this month means a lot to me. For the whole month of October, my guests will be sharing their stories on how they survived abuse through it all. Ms. Rhonda Crower Muhammad, I met her at an event that the two of us, she was a speaker at the event. Her story was so compelling, and it was a true story of broken to life. Ms. Rhonda.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
You look like you are doing great. You look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. And you do too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This is a month that I feel doesn't get the recognition and attention that it deserves. Because if we look at the statistics, every 1 in 3 women will die. Well, every 1 in 3 women will experience some form of domestic abuse in their lifetime. 4,000 women per year die from domestic abuse. And every 15 seconds, a woman is being abused. I think those are alarming numbers that needs to be recognized. What do you think?
I think it's very important that those numbers need to be recognized, and at the same time, what are we going to do about it? And if we could set up summits or empowerments, or go out or allow something, if it's not already done, where women, and there are men too, to be honest.
Yes, men too.
To have something, that safety net that they can come to and be empowered, and giving them tools and things to help retract their thinking, instead of we have this thing where I'm going to go back, I'm going to try to work it out. But you see what's going on. We're so blindly in love because we see the positivity. We see the good in a person, and we're thinking that if we can pull that good out even the more, your situation will change. And a lot of times that's not the case.
That's not the case. Or if we see it, or we saw the good. And we're waiting for that good to resurface again, to come back again. So you said something very compelling. You said, if we do something about it. You've done something about it. You wrote a book, Broken to Life.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about the book and what prompted you to write Broken to Life.
Well, this is Broken to Life. Broken to Life. There was one day I knew that I wanted to write a book. I just didn't know what I would be writing about. with that being said, not knowing that it would be about my own life, Terry McMillan, B.B. Moore Campbell, Toni Morrison, all of them are my faves. And I thought it was going to be one of those fictional but real tight books, juicy gossip, because that's what I would read. And just those beautiful, those wonderful authors. Unfortunately, God had a different plan. And when I started writing Broken to Life, I will say I was going through it. One day I decided said I had enough. I'll say this. How can I start? In a relationship, I was young, 22. I had my daughter, she was 2 years old. It was just she and I call myself being head over heels for someone. And I really, and I'm the type of person, when I love hard. And I was in college, and I thought it was a divine situation, because this is like the third time I ran into this person. And so I'm like, sometimes things can come in twos or threes or fours. So I'm thinking, and I had always stated to myself that I will find my husband, or my husband will find me when I'm in college, because I had that dream. I grew up watching A Different World. So that's why I ended up at
Hillman College.
Everybody wanted to go to Hillman. Everybody wanted to go to Hillman, but unfortunately, there was not a Hillman. There's a Hampton.
Yes.
So, with that being said, I looked at that, and for me to even say the college thing, because you go to high school, you go to college, you find your husband, you have your career, you get your career, you get married, and everybody's looking, okay, when she's going to get married, when you're going to get married, then you have your babies. But unfortunately, mine was scrambled up. Okay.
Most of us are.
So met this, at that time, this wonderful guy or whatever. I was like, okay, he's nice looking. And he was 10 years older than me. So he was not in college, never been to college, told people he went to Wake Forest, but never went to college. So the lies, but I didn't see that, because I believed everything he said. I would go hang out at his apartment. I'm thinking, oh, he got it going on. He got a nice car. He got an apartment. He got a job. So to me at that time, the way I thought, that was big, Yeah,
that was impressive for you.
That was impressive. So, and then eventually he met my daughter. He loved my daughter. My daughter's father wasn't around at that time. So my daughter looking at him like, is this my daddy? So it just went from there. But, I never pushed that on her or anything, because she was 2 years old. So, as time progressed, everything, I'll say, for that first 3 years, because I was a junior in college. So for that first 2 or 3 years, everything was just, to me, everything was just perfect. I was in love, honey. I was like, this is it. I'm good. And
I want to interject for one moment. Okay. You said that everything was perfect.
Yes.
You felt at the time.
Right.
Where you are now.
Right.
If you had to look back, were there some signs that you ignored?
Yes, there were a lot of signs that I ignored. Number one, when you lie about your college and your, background, that's like, how are you going to lie about, if you lie about this, you'll lie about something else.
Yes.
Coming over to my school to pick me up. He would come over, wash my car, and put a rose on my, on my car or on my seat or whatever. I didn't even know he had my car, but I knew he had the extra key. But pick my daughter up from preschool or take her to kindergarten, different things like that. But then when he started coming over and he had a friend of his with him, they be beeping the horn and everything, and coming on campus and looking at other women. And I saw those signs, but I ignored it. And I'd be like, why are you looking at other women? I'm sitting right here,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It didn't click. Okay. So as time progressed, then I started to see the behavior in it. In church, because he was a church organist. Very good. Very, very, very good. I sing, he played. It was like a perfect match. And all of a sudden, when I started going to the church, because at the time the church was a mega church, it's no longer now a mega church, but I started, when I got there, I had women coming up to me, you know, just trying to see who I was, or people trying to figure out who I was. And, you know, I didn't know I had it going on like that. You know, I'm still young and I'm thinking, oh, hey, but at the end of the day, you just finished having intimacy.
Yes. And that's what I want to ask you. They were coming up to you with you being as young as you were. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts? Did you think, ooh, I'm dating the church organist, and these other ladies might have wanted him, but he chose me? Did you feel like you were special, or did you know that maybe he might have been messing around or cheating with these other women? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
It does make sense. I thought that when I'm out of high school, I always was that thinker of, I don't do high school stuff.
Okay.
And things like that is high school thinking to me. Mm-hmm. So I just looked at it as I was with this guy. We were like a little family, and it was all, he chose me. It was all about me. And then it was all about me and him. Yeah. So I didn't really pay it any attention. I didn't know he was well known as he was.
Okay.
Because when I look at a person, I look at you. I don't look at, you know, all of the accolades and everything that came as time progressed. Because again, I look at you. And I've always been that person and been taught, you know, this is our family. Nobody, this is us, you know. And that he decided to choose me, you know, because I would ask him, do you know, I'll say this, in the very beginning, before we even declared to be in a relationship, we had our little moments here and there. I would hang out with him and I'm like, okay, you know, are we an item, or are we just benefits, or what? And so eventually he came and said, I want to settle down, to make this what it was. So he had this list, he stated, and he wrote this list out of talking to all these women that he had in his past. And these women, he said he burned the list. So I'm like, I'm special.
Yes.
Settle down with me. I am extra heavily special to you.
They don't exist anymore. You've burnt them. Yes.
And I am that woman. Your past is your past.
Right.
I don't have anything to do with it unless you bring your past into now.
Yes.
That's where we're going to have a problem. So again, being young, 22 years old, it didn't. But this is one key, Miss Gail. Even when I do remember, even when we declared that we were in a relationship, I was so gullible and so happy. And so, I mean, he was like, okay, you know, like, I know she's happy. I was like, oh my God. It was like the whole man proposed to me, but I know he did. But I was excited. But the Lord told me, because prior to that, a year or two prior to that, I was engaged to my daughter's father, and that did not work. There was cheating involved, and I was in college, and that played a big role because he thought that I was, his friends was telling him, oh, she's going to go to A&T and find somebody else. Wasn't like that. I'm still family. So I used to stay in my dorm room so he wouldn't think that I was out doing anything.
Yes.
That's the first thing. You don't have to be physically hit. You don't have to be physically punched in order to feel domestic violence. If I say that wrong, please correct me. You don't have to feel that, because it could be an emotional thing.
Yes.
And I ended up, from that first relationship, I missed out on a lot. I wanted to pledge. I did not get a chance to do that because I was so imprisoned in my head. If I go out and do this, or if I go to a party, or if I be a part of this, he's going to think I'm cheating. And I haven't cheated on him, but he was doing the cheating.
He was doing the cheating. So did he ask you to stay in your dorm? Did he ask you not to go to? Okay.
No.
You just felt, by being a good girlfriend,
engaged at the time.
Engaged, yes, a fiance.
Fiance.
Those were the things that you had to do. Now, there's something you mentioned earlier, that you love hard.
Yes.
Why do you think you love so hard?
Never really thought about that. I never knew why. I love family.
Mm-hmm.
I love making sure everybody have what they need. I love nurturing. And if I say I love you and I care about you, I am going to do everything in my power. You become my family. You become wholeheartedly a part of me. I want to make sure that nothing happens to you. I want to make sure that you are protected. I don't know. I never really thought about that. That's the only thing I can think of at this point. Maybe you can help me understand that. But I never understood why I love so hard. That question has never been asked.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have an answer. I know for me, with loving hard, it was because of me not feeling good about myself.
Okay.
It was about me not feeling worthy. So if I love you hard, and if I do all these things to prove to you how much I love you, then in return, you will love me back.
Right.
And that's for me. That's what I felt was my reasoning, or if I loved you hard enough, you wouldn't walk away from me. You wouldn't leave me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A good question. Never thought about that before.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that point, I left that situation. And went into the next. I left that situation because I began to be accused.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to, at that age, when I got pregnant with my daughter, I was 18, turning 19. And I was like, I knew it, that he was not my husband. I was like, I don't want to get married, I'm thinking. And because my mom was like, well, are you willing to marry my daughter? And my dad was like, one thing to have a baby is another thing to get married.
Yes.
And so he was like, nah, she ain't ready for that. Because I was like,
Mhm.
get married, you know. And I felt like, you know, of course it was to save face, because
Mhm.
as in church, as we call Christians, we
Mhm.
are so nasty and judgmental. You know, Rhonda and Roy Crowder's daughter is having a baby. And people forget, even in their grown age, they can still get pregnant and have a baby, whether they're married or not. And just because you're married don't mean that you're still happy. And but it was just the point. I was having a baby out of wedlock, and we
Mhm.
wanted to make it look good. But unfortunately, no, I did not. We were engaged, and I got tired of, I saw his insecurities,
Yes.
because even we could be in church and I could be in a worship, just hallelujah, whatever. And the men would be on one side or so, and the women on one side, or however, and I could just be looking straight forward, and he would sit in church and watch me and sit there and start crying and shake his head and say, I saw you looking at such and such, or I saw you looking at such and such. And I'd be like, huh? I'm in worship. I just want to, like, do I need to just walk and close my eyes?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
My whole demeanor, that's when I didn't know who I was.
Mhm.
My
And now there's a name for that. It's gaslighting. We didn't
Yes,
know what that meant then. You know,
right.
now there's a name for that. There's gaslighting. And I like that because I know in my abusive relationship,
Mhm.
my ex-boyfriend, his thing was we were a unit.
Okay.
And if we were to go out, it didn't matter how many people was around us. My focus was to be only on him. I'm a people's person. I'm a looker. I like looking at you from your head to your toe.
I
So I
observe.
would try to use my peripheral
Yes,
vision,
I
to
observe.
look.
Gotcha. I'm gonna look and see what's around
Oh
me.
yes,
And
but
because you
I
don't know if
had
you
to
got
give
to
him
clock up out of there.
yes, all my undivided attention.
Right.
And that's just
And
not how life
yep.
is.
And I did that. I gave him my undivided attention. So coming out of that relationship, I didn't give myself time. I did not give myself time. 22 years old at that time, raising my daughter. And I thank God for my parents, because while I was in school, they kept my daughter and I would come home on the weekends. And so I can say, and I thank God, I didn't have to want for anything. My story wasn't, oh, I'm a single mom, I'm strung out, I'm
Yes.
homeless. And
Mhm.
I'm not speaking against anybody, because you have to do what you have to do.
Yes.
But this is my story. I didn't have that problem. I had a village
Mhm.
around, like hardcore village. My daughter Kayla, I was telling my husband the other day, I said, when I had my daughter, I said, when I found I was pregnant, yeah, it was distraught. It was hurtful. I said, but because the plan was graduate from high school, go to college, then find your husband, get your career, then get your husband. That was
Mhm.
the plan. Everything was
Mhm.
set straight out. And nobody ever thought that goody two-shoe Rhonda, I'm the only girl out of 3 boys. Okay. Rotten. Okay. The pride and joy. Got the 3 boys, here coming this little girl. Finally, we got a girl. So that's how my parents expressed it to me. But the thing is that I did not give myself time to reflect. I did not give myself time to get to know me. Even though I was a young mother, I still could have gotten to know me.
Mhm.
6 months after that, I end up in another relationship, or shall I say a situationship.
Mhm.
No, it's not a word, but we make up our own.
Mhm.
And then later it turns into a relationship. Um, And the Lord clearly said, you're not ready. I kept hearing it, but I still did what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to say this before I get into the meat of things. A lot of times we hear God speak to us, yet we still do what we want to do. Then when we get into it, we're thinking everything is so happy-go-lucky. It looks pretty. It looks beautiful. He's in church. Oh, he loves God. Everybody that is in church, Miss Gail, everybody that's a preacher in the pulpit, everybody that is on the organ, everybody that claims to be anointed is not personally for you. Always.
I like that.
There's always a woman and a man that is perfectly meant to be together. But there's always, just because, they got all of this going on, that, oh, he's saved and he's this, but that doesn't mean he's for you. There's a difference. So moving into the relationship, everything was beautiful. Everything, I just thought, oh gosh, I sing, he play. It was, we were like a lot of people used to say, y'all are like a Warren and Erica Campbell.
The image.
He plays, and when I say, and I give it to him, he can play his high off. Shout you under a rug, and you be spitting and speaking in tongues and don't know how you got there, okay? I started seeing, I call it the wandering eye. And it was making me feel, because I thought that I'm beautiful. I thought it's me. And I would go and second guess myself. I would go look in the mirror and say, well, I don't look like her, or I don't look like this. Am I pretty enough? Am I too fat? Am I too this or whatever? And so that's where the problems come. And then I would ask him about it. And I would say, this woman here, I said, but the thing about it is, it wasn't my insecurities at that time. It was actually what I saw, because after service, he would go up to the woman and then he would say, oh, I've been knowing her, but it was always, I've been knowing her for such and such and such. But what he was doing was going up to the woman to find out what her name was and to get her information behind my back so that they can have a conversation later. Okay. I didn't pay that any attention. So it was, I've been knowing such and such for a long time. She's this. I was like, oh, okay, go on.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. It made sense. And then I would see it again and again and again and again. So
with different women.
Okay. But when we would have service, of course, different women come every day, nice looking, nice shape, or and I'll say this, I'm going to be raw with it, booty boot moving up and down, while they walk around collecting plate. It would always happen during the collection time. And he would play something on the keyboard, and the other musicians would know exactly what we're going, because it would be like they're just playing a regular song, and then they might put some emphasis on that song. Yes. And that's how I caught on. Again, I'm very observant.
So basically what he was doing was giving a sign for the other musicians to look at the woman that's passing by. She's the one.
Right.
And everybody was.
Right. So one day, as time progressed, we would get in so many arguments about this, and I would sit in tears, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't doing what I did with my ex-fiance. I wanted to make sure that I was not, and I'm like, well, am I getting payback? Am I, because I said I didn't do this. When I'm all in, I'm all in. Yeah. And so you've been around my family. We go home. Everybody
loves you.
So many things. Yes. Then one day I connected with his daughter's mom, and we had a beautiful relationship. I was like, okay, this is beautiful, because I don't have no reason to be angry with you. That was y'all back then. And then I would see things, and he would make it so she started telling me stuff. And he would make it and I would talk to him about the things that she talked to me about. Some things she told me I didn't say, some things I did. And I did that because of how things would occur. But long story short, it started getting, his sister talked to me about some things. And I questioned him about some things that, you know, that was talked to me about, but some things, again, that they talked to me about, I did not. It was other people would come and tell me, and I would talk to him, and he would get so angry. Like, I heard you were married before. You know, is this true? Or, well, it was an annulment. Well, why? Well, we got an argument. I put her out and all this kind of stuff. You know, and this young lady or whatever is a world-renowned minister now. And again, I won't call any names or anything
No,
like
you don't
that.
have to.
But moving forward, the arguments turned into rages. I would get so angry because I'm like, I'm over here, you know, when you get sick, I'm cleaning up your throw up. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I don't know why every time I would leave or try to leave or want to leave, the first thing he would say was, oh, why are you leaving? You talk about you want to be married, but you always leaving. How can you be married and you always want to leave? So it made me stop in my tracks.
Yes. And that's the psychological and the
It made
emotional.
me stop. So I was like, you know what? He was like, how do I not know you can stand the test of times in an argument or a disagreement and we can't sit and talk? I said, but you're cheating.
Yes.
I know you're cheating. I feel it. Never caught him in the act, but you have a wandering eye. It's embarrassing to me. It's rude. But then if he saw a man come up to me at the church or try to, you know, hello or speak or give me a hug or something, he would sit there and watch. And you know, and then he will call them afterwards and threaten them.
To leave you alone. Don't talk to her anymore.
There were several people who wanted, like, people was like, we like her, she's cool. But we ended up in a combative situation because he would tell me that they would talk about me, they would say things or whatever, which caused me to look at them like, and they would be like, one of the guys, God rest his soul, he said, Rhonda, he said, it wasn't that we didn't like you. He said, it was the point. He said, we did not want to, we were told not to say anything to you because of what we knew about this person. You came in clueless as to what you were getting yourself into. And, you know, that became a big issue and it clashed. He said people walked around you. People didn't say anything because, and I said, I'm here thinking y'all just don't like me. Yes. He said, it wasn't that we didn't like you. We just were pushed away from, because he was afraid of what we were going to tell you about him.
Yes, that makes sense.
So this guy as well was adopted. And one day we got into it and he was like, you know, I'm sitting up here, you trying to leave me, but I'm sitting up here with I don't know where I come from. Yes, I have adopted parents. I love my parents and they've done right by me, but I don't know where I come from. So, of course, that psychological thing, I don't want to leave him. I don't want to make it look like I am
abandoning him too.
So I laugh at it now.
Yeah.
At some point, I used to think, I said, this feel like an Ike and Tina conversation.
Mm-hmm. And you know, the thing about some abusers, because I can't say all of them,
right?
They're so manipulative. They know the right things to say. They know how to reel you in. Yes. They know how to play on your emotions.
Yes.
And then, like you said, he said, I don't know where I came from. So any person with feelings that loves a person, they're going to be like, oh boy, I need him to know that I won't do the same thing to him. So
Right.
let me try a little bit harder. If this is the mindset of a person being abused, if this is the mindset of a victim, and then a lot of times it takes us to be removed from that situation.
Yes,
like you said, we go back and look at it. You have to laugh at yourself. Like, how was I so gullible?
I don't even say gullible. I said I was just stupid.
Say that again. Say that again.
I was stupid. So with that being said, so as like I said, as time progressed, and then I started seeing there were some things that started occurring.
Mm-hmm.
There were some differences and things that started occurring that I found out about my body. I questioned him about it. I had to, go get checked out because I was always a woman who always would, did my mammograms, and I was fine. I'm good. I'm a clean bill of health. And I thank God that I am now too. But I had some things and stuff. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. God kept giving me signals. He kept showing me the flags. Okay, you had to go to the doctor for this to just be tested or checked out.
Yes.
Anything else you need? I gave it to you. It's sitting right here on the platter.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I promise you. So what did I do? I went back. I believed him. Mm-hmm. Moving forward, something else comes up. I believe him over and over and over and over and over. I can say then at one point I moved in. Why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's when arguing about the cheating, arguing about the wandering eye, hiding his phone. And I never even thought to go look at his phone. I started finding out as my daughter, he was good with my daughter, very good with her because he had his own daughter as well. Mm-hmm. He had a son. One day I was sitting in church and I had this man sitting behind me. The pastor, the bishop or whatever at that time would be like, touch your neighbor. I hate doing all that. Don't tell me to
touch your neighbor.
I'm over here stretching off of that. Just, don't tell me to touch me. I didn't come here to do all of that. Okay.
Yeah. And then it could be triggers. For some people, it could be triggers.
Right. I'm good. Please just preach. Give me the word so I can go home, But anyway, so I'm sitting in church. And he says to me, the man said, touch your neighbor, and he touched me. I was like, hey, amen, amen. And then after service, the guy was like, how you doing? I said, I'm good. And he put his hand on my shoulder. I didn't think anything else of it. So it's one guy behind me is his friend sitting diagonal from him in the seat. At the time, my significant other at that time, he's sitting in the musician's loft watching. I did not know that was his biological son's stepfather, which he had a baby by that woman, who the man that was sitting behind me was her husband.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You messed with a married woman and got her pregnant? Oh, okay. Now that had nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. But the fact that these people are now going through the divorce because of you, after all this time has passed, and moral of the story, why are they coming for me? So what he was trying to do was make him upset to see what he was going to do, which he never did anything, trying to touch me. That was another red flag. Why I say that, Miss Gail? Because you didn't come in the bat for me. Because this man could have killed me.
Yes.
He could have stabbed me in church.
Yes.
Anything could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have anything to do with
With.
what your past and what you did. But he could have been doing that to get back at you.
Yes.
So you got a lot of stuff that you got going on you didn't tell me about. I'm finding out bits and pieces, and some things he did tell me about, but these people should not have access to me.
To you. Yes.
I would have been like, after service, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you ever, whatever we got going on,
Mm-hmm.
but don't you ever approach her in that manner, in any form, trying to get back at me. But he didn't do that.
So do you think they have the courage to have those type of confrontations with men? You know, they can say what they want to say to us. They can act and do certain things. But then when it comes to certain men, they don't have the assertiveness, nor definitely not the aggressiveness
Nope.
to confront them.
And I'm glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue with me
Yes.
as a woman, call me all kinds of names,
Mm-hmm.
ridicule me, talk about the way I look,
Mm-hmm.
tell me I'm bipolar, you crazy, you this. These are all the psychological things that would be said to me. But a real man step to you, he would always call his nephew to come and fight for him.
Yes.
He would always call everybody else, or nah, man, we good. And I'll be sitting up here like,
Yeah, that's not what you said last night when you were talking to me.
you call me all kinds of names.
Yes.
The pitch, P would be in pitches, bipolar, you crazy, you're insecure, you dumb, you stupid, all the emotional abuse domestically that you would tell me about myself. And then after that, I'm sitting over here, have all of these things have been said to me over a period of time. Now it's embedded into my head.
Yes.
And I don't feel worthy. I don't feel worth it. Then I end up pregnant.
Let's before you go there, let's stay with that part, the verbal and the emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times with the physical, we can put on a Band-Aid, we could put some Neosporin or alcohol on the scar and on the infection or the abuse, and it heals. The scar is evident that the scab is evident that the scar is healing. But what can we do with all the stuff that, like you said, that's embedded in our head? Where does it go?
It comes out in anger. It comes out in frustration. I would get so angry. Everybody around me, I would be angry with. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I probably would pick up something and then throw it if I'm that angry. But I would cry. I could break up 10 glasses in my house if I wanted to. And I know that's crazy. I know that may sound weird to some, but that's the only way I knew how to release it. I got tired of walking away, trying to have an understanding, me thinking you're going to say one thing, but you're saying something totally different. I got tired of feeling like I was the one that was stupid. I would even say to myself, okay, maybe it's just me. Let me back up. Let me make sure it's not me at all. Because I don't want to keep accusing him of something and I'm messing up my own thing. 2 years go past. 2 years go past. No marriage, no nothing. 3 years go past, 4 years go, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What are
And
we?
by this time you have a child
I have.
from him.
We had. I got. I was, and I. I did what I, because I thought we were separating out the
Mhm,
relationship,
mhm.
and I didn't want to be bothered. I did something that I never thought that I would ever do.
Did he know?
He knew.
Okay.
He helped pay for it.
Oh.
Another red flag.
Mm.
Okay. Um, a woman and a choice that I made. And when I tell you I bawled, I cried, I cried, I cried, I cried, I cried. But I thought I was like, I don't want to bring a child into this world to doing things. And I know, oh, you contradict yourself because you went back to him because the story was so nice. And you still continue to be intimate with him. Did you protect yourself? Did you do this? I did. I got on birth control pills. They were making me sick. Even the intimacy was totally different. I
Mhm.
felt that I was obligated to be intimate with him so he would not go to anybody else. So I was imprisoned in my own mind.
And it's so much
Um,
weight to carry, isn't
a
it?
lot of weight. I got pregnant again,
Mm.
and I had a miscarriage.
How did you feel about that?
Uh, I was hurt.
Okay.
I was pained. Um, I ended up going to the hospital, driving myself to the hospital. He was playing service, and I knew his car was not, his car was in the shop at that time. So he had 2 or 3 people a way out for them to come and get him. He chose to stay on the organ. Another flag. His parents says, well, do you want us to come? I'm sitting in the lobby bleeding. I had my daughter at the time who was 5. 2 of my best friends were there. So I had to call my parents. I'm in Greensboro. They are in Monroe.
Right.
And my dad, God rest his soul, my dad was
Yeah.
pissed.
So up until this time, did your parents, were they aware of any of the abuse that you were enduring?
They looked at it. They didn't know. They knew about some things, but they didn't know to the
Yeah.
extent.
Fair of it. Okay.
And they ended up, my dad, I guess they looked at it. She's grown. She'll figure it out. They didn't speak against me. And the thing is, my family is like this. If I love you, they're going to love you.
Okay.
Every relationship has its up and downs. If she loves you, when she's ready to let it go, I can probably talk to her 10,000 times. It's probably going to go in one ear and go out
And
the other.
that's true.
And that's naturally what we do. And I used to be like, why y'all just didn't pull me, yank me or something, Well, we tried to tell you, but I had so many flags because it was like, I went through in that relationship, I went through everything that a woman, I felt like women that I would hear go through different things. I felt like I went through everything in that one relationship in 12 years because we were together for 12 years. I left. I got my own place. Even at one point, like when I was teaching school, I'm over here thinking about marriage, and when I was teaching school, I didn't realize, I learned that, there was a HUD program. I can get me a house, half price.
Mhm.
My credit score was almost 800, and I had a career.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
I felt settled. I felt good.
So
And
what prompted you to leave? When was the last time? And what was it about the last time that made you say, this is it?
when we were arguing about someone who was about the cheating and the things that he would say to me, emotional abusive. And now don't get me wrong, I can handle my own.
Mhm.
'Cause I gave him a run.
Mhm.
I did. You come at me, I'm that person. You don't bother me, I don't bother you. But when I call him every name in the book, how it looked, what he looked like, how it was, when it was, I handled my own.
Mhm.
Okay. I wasn't, oh God, I'm scared of you. No, I will whoop your entire aspirin
Mm.
if I have to. I'm going to fight back.
Did
Okay.
you ever fight back? Did you
I
have to
did.
fight back? Yes.
I did.
Mhm.
And there were times, that what made me prompt me just to say, I can't do this anymore. And I moved out was picking me up, or slamming me down, or slamming me on the table, breaking the table, and I'm like, I cannot breathe. Get off of me.
Mhm.
I was hyperventilating or whatever. He called himself trying to hold me. I probably done threw something at him. Um, you know, removing himself because fighting, getting upset. Um, from that point, I moved out, got my own place. I felt at peace. Then he would come over. Of course, we had a son. That's when I got pregnant again.
Okay.
It's my son. I wasn't getting rid of this one. That's not bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. And he's 14, but when I say he's a mama's boy, that's my baby. um, so I, when I left, he would come over to see our son. And it was something that he looked in my bathroom like, oh, yeah, because he felt like I tore up his house or whatever by throwing something at him or whatever to get him away from me or whatever. He was like, yeah, you got a brand new place. And yeah, maybe I should tear up your place. I was like, that's what you want to do, you go for it. Go for it. I'll just record it and you can pay for it. Go for it. Again, I had this stamina. I had this umph about me. Negro, don't play with me because I will fight you back if I
Yeah.
have to.
Mhm.
Never thought that I would have to be that person.
Mhm.
But when I moved out, push came to shove. I did not pass my praxis exam, which caused me to lose my job. Then on top of that, I wasn't making enough money I was making enough money to sustain, but all the bills kept piling. My mom made a conversation. She was like, well, why don't you just move back in with him?
And it made sense
It made sense.
financially, economically.
He came to me because when I first moved out, he was like, yeah, because I had my place before when I first moved there. We were getting into it, not a fight. It was just a lot verbally.
Mhm.
We would get into it or whatever. So when I got my place, excuse me, when I got my place, I lived on my own for a while and then I moved out and all that stuff because I was going to move back home. After I was going to move back home because at that point, I was pregnant with my son and and they knew what I was going through. Then. And so even from the point, you and that baby, y'all can go. I don't care. But the woman that he is talking to now, he had already befriended and they're still talking to this day. And she was
Mhm.
married. I started finding everything in his phone about her, yada, 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 whatever. Questioned her and all these things. But moving forward, I moved back in. The same stuff everything was fine for about a few months. And then after that, it started back up again. So this time I said, God said, enough.
Enough.
I got up one morning and I just left. I couldn't take everything with me. I got my babies and I left.
Stay right there.
Okay.
You said you left.
Yes, ma'am.
You couldn't take everything with you. You got your babies and you left.
I left.
So for the person, woman or man, that's watching this podcast, and they feel that they have to have all the materialistic things, they have to have everything ABC lined up in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to the point when enough is enough, it doesn't matter about any of that, does it?
No. Everything that I thought that, everything that, it's like a light bulb started coming on. Everything that I thought that I was holding on to, it wasn't holding on to me.
Yes, I like that.
And so just out of the blue, it was July, towards the end of July or mid-July. And I just said, so my mom was like, you should just come home. And I didn't want to come home because I know coming home in my mother's home, my father's home, is with me and my mom, it was like oil and vinegar.
Yes.
And I was like,
I'd rather stay here.
and to be honest, Miss Gail, that is why I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want to factor coming back home as an embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
And even before I had my son, I would come and visit. The questions that people would say is, I remember one lady said to me, oh, you ain't had another baby yet? And I was like, am I supposed to just sit around and have babies and have no life?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like, it would just be things that people would say to me. They wouldn't say it to my brothers, but they would say it to me.
Yes.
And I was embarrassed. I was hurt. I was like, is this how people really think of me?
It's okay. It's okay.
I try to hold this back. And that's where I talk about in my book with family and friends, because I was so ridiculed. I love my mother with all my heart. She has my back. She's my ace. That's my boo. But the things that was said about me, the things that was, Rhonda's doing this. She's up there. She don't want to come home. She's this, she's that, she's this. She don't take care of her daughter. But then in all hindsight, you will come back to me and say, you're an awesome mother. I have family members talking about me, ridiculing me, wondering what I was doing. And when I thought that I had a safe space in my mind, I did not have a safe space. When I tried, I didn't know who I could reach out to. I didn't know think about therapy and different things like that, I'm reaching out to my mom or my cousins, but not knowing that they're dogging me behind my back. And it felt like everybody was looking for me to fail. But in all one sentence, you was trying to be like me. Or you were always curious about what I was doing. That's when I recognized, even in singing, when I was singing, it felt like I would be free. When I would go and worship and sing, it felt free. I felt, because that's the only safe space that I knew. Because I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know who to lean on. So at one point, I just got to a place where I just leaned. God was teaching me how to lean on him. I didn't know how to, because I didn't know how to trust.
Yes.
We have this thing. We go in church. And we say, I will trust in the Lord. I will trust in the Lord. I will. But do you really trust him? Do you really, when you say, God, I give everything to you, did you even give it to him? Did you even realize that he was right there to say, I got you? Did you understand that? When your preacher or whoever was up speaking, when they say, give it all to God, let God handle it, let him do this. Did you really understand what that means? I didn't. But through trials and tribulations, I understood what that meant. I came home not knowing that my dad was going to be diagnosed with cancer. I'm a daddy's girl. So with that being said, I stayed home. Now, at that time, that was enough. I've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to pack up what I could. And I said, I can't do this no more.
Mm-hmm.
I waited till he was gone. I packed up my trunk a little bit by little bit. And, our clothes and stuff especially. And then after that, I would sit at home at my parents'. Nobody believed me. Nobody believed me. They was thinking, she gonna go back. She gonna do that. And I was like, so I would just sit there sometime. And I'd be like, oh, I need to register my daughter for school.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, she's in high school, 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
My son, he's in. I need to find a school for him. He's getting ready to go to kindergarten.
Yeah. And let me ask you this before we get started, before you go into the climax of your story. Your daughter's now in high school.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel, or if you feel, that witnessing the domestic abuse, do you think it had some type of effect on her emotionally, psychologically?
It did.
It
It
did.
did. I'll say this. There was a situation before to me having that enough spirit, where I played Russian roulette. I wanted him to feel what I was feeling. So there was a friend of his that reached out to me. And we began to talk, and he was just telling me, Rhonda, the guys, we feel like you can do better than that. We feel like you can do better. That was the first time a guy actually came to me and just gave it to me straight, cold cut.
Yes.
Okay.
Because men don't usually talk about other men.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So he came to me, and when he started talking to me about it, and mind you, it's a lot of stuff even before that. Like, he had gotten arrested, for jail, went to jail because of his license, being revoked. Who had to drive the car? Me. There was a time we got pulled over, and I'd be like, hey, let me drive because of where we're going. You said it's a lot of license checks in this area. Let me drive. No, he didn't want me to drive his truck because, he's so prideful about that. And then I ended up getting a ticket because they said I allowed him to drive. He lied and said his identity, and I'm in the car not knowing what he said or what the plan was or anything. I've been through all of those things. I've been accused. I've had to pay for, with the driver's license stuff. And I'm sitting there like, why I got to get in trouble for something? Well, you allowed him to drive. That's his truck. I told him, let me drive. He would not let me drive, but I had to pay $200 or $300 with a lawyer or whatever. Didn't ask for my money back and still loved him. Stayed this time. So me and the guy, it was a really good conversation. And he said, what do you want to do about it? I said, I want revenge. So the guy started flirting with me out of the blue. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. He was very nice looking, don't get me wrong. But, he decided to keep, because he wanted me to stay away from those guys or whatever, because they knew what he had. They was
Mhm.
like, she is beautiful. And they were so happy for him. They say he finally got himself together to that, this and that. And, they got their baby out, he got himself together. They thought he was doing good, but he was still out doing the same things that he was doing when all of them were hanging out together and still in that, young 20 and then young 20s or whatever, run around getting girls or whatever case may be. So come to find out, he had been intimate with one of the girls. The guy that was talking to me at some point in time, he was intimate with one of his girlfriends. So when I said why did I say I wanted revenge? So he started inboxing me. This is when this messenger thing came up. So he started inboxing me, flirting with me, and I would flirt back with him. I left it up on my computer. It was my computer, but I left it up. And then one day, so I went to a rehearsal. He calls and said, "Oh, it's about to be a homicide. It's about to be a homicide." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Yeah, I saw it. You was having a conversation with such and such and such behind my back, this, that. I was like, "Okay." And I said, "No different than what you were doing." I said, "We did that on purpose."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "That was on, no. I said, "We did that on purpose." Were you intimate?" But I was like, "Yep." And it was awesome. I mean, I went all the way in.
So you were really tired at this point.
Yeah.
You're like, bring what you got.
Awesome.
Bring the best you got.
I did this, I did that, or whatever. So after that, I even got him to the point. I was like, "And this baby might not be yours."
Oh!
So if you don't want to, and I will say, when I had our son, I was so angry at myself later when I thought about it, because I gave my son his last name. My dad was furious. I could see it. And then I was like, what did I do? That was later on. Footnote, my son now, he says, "Mom," he came to me a year ago. And he said, "I want to change my last name." I looked at him and I said, "Okay." I didn't say anything else about it. I just kind of threw it. But recently he said, "I want to change my last name." He said, "Because I want to carry my papa's legacy. Crowder is a legacy. And the men in that family are strong." He doesn't really know his family on his dad's side like that. He don't know where, he's like, "You don't know where he come from." So keep us in prayer, because now he's trying to throw it off on me. "I know where you got that from. And I had to let him know, I didn't encourage him. He came to you and he was trying. Oh my gosh, this was just last week. He was trying. If he wants to change his last name, I did ask, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you positive?" I said, "I don't have a problem with it." He said, "Because I'm going to do it when I turn 18. So if you're going to do it anyway, why am I arguing with you?" So now he's, "Oh, well, whatever, you do what you want to do. But now he's trying, because of me, he's trying to give him pushback, because we have to have his signature, because it's on the birth certificate. But I feel like God is going to open that door for my son. Because I expressed in this side note, I told him, I said, even though he's going to do it anyway when he's 18, the best time is to do it now, because when he start getting scholarships, he's a freshman. When he start getting scholarships and, athletic scholarships and different things like that, and it'll be a little easier. I won't have such a hard time, because of that, they'll look at that as an identity thing. He could lose some things.
Yes.
So we don't want that to happen. So he's trying to be aggy about it, because of me.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to say this. When I got home, my family did not believe that I was going to do what I did. Okay, she done signed the kids up in school. Okay, but it was a one day at a time for me. I didn't want anybody to sit and drill me. I just wanted to just pace myself, because I was still imprisoned in my own head.
Yes.
being pulled to come back.
Mhm.
He would send me
Mhm.
pictures and I
Mhm.
miss us and everything. And I mean, I was that close and saying, you know what, let me just. But that night about the friend, and he saw that on me, so I was going to be a homicidal whether I came home. We got into it, and I was like, yeah, I did it or whatever. He actually did call the police and had told the police to ask me to leave. He asked the police to ask me to leave. The police said, I said, well, I don't have anywhere to go. And I was embarrassed because I didn't want to go home at that time. I would have had to travel, go back home, pack a baby,
Mhm.
get my daughter, and who was in middle school. And that's the day I told her to stop calling him daddy. Because that's all she knew. Um, and I will say, as time progressed, I did apologize to her because I didn't pay it attention of how
Yes.
she was affected. I was more
Mhm.
so going into safety mode
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
for me
Mhm.
and my children.
Mhm.
I went into safety mode, not thinking, how would she feel? How would it? I didn't deal with that until now.
Yeah. So for the mother that's watching or the father and their kids are experiencing domestic abuse,
Mhm.
what would you say to them? If they're experiencing it in the home,
I
what
would
would you say to
say,
them?
get your kids, get you and your children to safety, but also ask them, how are you feeling?
Check in.
I got to check on you.
Mhm.
Immediately get a therapist.
Mhm. Mhm.
So saved that you can't get a therapist.
Mm.
Pick up the phone and call somebody that you can trust. If I don't have the money for a therapist, I know some life coaches. And to be honest, I've been asked to be a life coach at some point because a young lady not too long ago, she said, you helped me make that make sense.
Mm.
And I said, some things that didn't make sense to us. Her situation, she was coming out of, she was married, but they, you know, he didn't want her to do certain things. He was but he was lazy. She was doing all the work. She wasn't in. And then the arguments kept being intense. And for what I can remember, and she just said, I've had enough. And
Mhm.
and then so now he left. She didn't want her marriage to, she didn't want her marriage. Give me a moment. Let me get a piece of tissue if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Okay, because when you come back, we're gonna have to wrap up. So we're gonna
Okay,
go into Muhammad.
got you.
Okay.
So I'll
Okay.
say this. I'll come back to. I'll just say this. Um, with that being said, I ended up um, when I left. Before I left, he came up to me, and that's what made me say enough. He came up to me and said, I went to sleep. He pointed something at me that resembled a gun, and I know he didn't have a gun.
Mhm.
And he said to me, I should blow your brains out. I should cock this gun and blow your brains out. And my daughter got up and said, well, y'all just break up, just let it go. Da, 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 da. And that's when I said, I can't do it no more. Went through all of that. Even through that process, he was very, you coming back? Are we going to get back together? What do you want to do? What do you want? But all in rationality, he was already talking to this lady that he's talking to now. And so I left. And then eventually he called me back. He came to the funeral. His name was on the obituary. And I was like, why did I do that, Lord Jesus? And he was like, I just want to work things out, want to work it out. And I was like, okay. So later that next year, I ended up going back. I left my daughter at home. I ended up going back, but I didn't feel right.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. You knew it was over.
I knew it was over. And I told him, I was like, if I come back, I said, what are we going to do?
Differently.
What are we going to do different? I said, because I don't want to come back in here and dealing with the same stuff.
Yes.
So I ended up getting a good job. So it pushed me to go back. And I had told my dad before he passed, I was like, I heard it. He was going to ask me to marry him. He told my father before my father passed, oh, just to let you know, one day your daughter will be married. Why would you tell him that? Why? Like, really? So anyway, I went back and caught him with this
Cheating
shit.
again.
Yeah. And a few other people saw it, and it's just the way things happen. And I got upset, started pulling clothes out, and then I put him back. And then he didn't come home that night until later. And, we went into an argument or whatever, but he lied and said he was going to the movies, but he actually went with this girl. And moving forward, I just said, I can't do this no more. And he slept on the floor that night. Never done that. And I said, and I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and I said, God put him in a deep sleep. He put his phone in a different place that he normally would do, his pants in a different place. I knew him like clockwork. And I went and got the phone, went out the door, and I asked the Lord, I said, put him in a deep sleep. And I went, the phone was actually in his truck. He left it in his truck. He did that on purpose. On the I opened the truck, put the password, etc. in, and then I went and I saw all of these women. There were more than 20 women. I saw all these women that he had been intimate with, talked to, went out with, etc. And then after that, I said, I called one of the apostles, and I talk about it in my book. I called one of the apostles at 5:30 in the morning. I was sitting on the curve, and she said, are you ready? And I expressed to her, I said, yes. She started telling me everything that was going on.
So she knew, they knew, the church.
They knew, but she also knew in the spirit. And she started, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this, and this, that, make sure this. I mean, she went through the whole, and tears were just falling. I'm on the curve at 5:30 in the morning, dark, pitch dark, only outside lights on. So at that point, that's when I said, and when I brought it to his attention, he laughed. And we got into a disagreement. I was ironing. He jumped up at me with a knife. And he said he would slice my throat. I was ironing to get him away from me. I didn't approach him or anything. I had already made up my mind, I'm not doing this no more. We getting ready for service. Ironing. I threw the iron. I thought I missed. I hit my darn flat screen TV with the cord, broke that. Didn't know I grazed him on the back of the arm. We went to church. The bishop called himself going off on me because he was late. And I had to let him know, did he tell you this? I am wailing in tears. Can't sing, can't do anything. After that, I left. Packed up my car and I left. From that point, a couple of months later, I did not know. He got caught into another lie. He was sending me pictures of me and my dad, trying to wool my heart because he wanted me to come back. I did not come back. I stayed at home. And Lord and behold, little did I know, he had taken a warrant out on me. And the girl that he was with co-signed to it. She wasn't even around. But he'd taken a warrant out on me. And after that, God said, enough.
Yeah.
If you go back, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Yes.
And after that, I never looked back since.
And statistics states that it takes the average woman 7 to 10 times to walk away.
Wow.
And thank God, it's just so important. And you said earlier how important it is to listen to our spirit.
Right.
Because God, he gives us everything we need. It's just whether or not we adhere to it and obey what it is that he's telling us. And we're going to have to fast forward because of the sake of time. Because you said something earlier, you didn't give yourself enough time. How much time did you give yourself before you entered into a new relationship?
It took me 7 to 8 years.
And within that time, what did your healing process look like?
My healing process was taking one day at a time. I began journaling. I was somewhere and I met this lady on Facebook, and we were just talking. And then all of a sudden she said, I'm a therapist. So I started taking, being as a therapist, not knowing that we would end up also being really good friends. But she began to work with me. I went to her twice a week. And I began to see myself. And it more so started as a little girl into up now. The traumas, I did not know that in your brain, there are certain traumas that still stay there. And then when things happen and trigger that trauma place, I learned that.
Mm-hmm.
So as I am talking to her, I would wake up in the middle of the night, or I would seclude myself. I'm writing.
Yes.
I'm writing. Every chapter in my book, I was actually going through the stages. I was talking to my brother one time in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He said, sis, he said, I'm going to tell you, he said, it gets worse before it gets better. Yeah. Did I want to hear that? No. Because I was like, I just want to go. He said, no, because they was going to kill him. Okay. Mm-hmm. They were going to kill him. But he said it gets worse before it gets better. And now that I understand what he said, it did, because everything that I wrote in my book, I was actually going through it in each chapter. Mm-hmm. But it was because I was able to get it out. It was a healing process for me. Yeah. And I began to see things even the more clearer. And then I would get angry. And then I'll be like, why did he do this? We could have had this family. We could have had this together. We could have had that together. I had played those things throughout that time. It was supposed to be us. We were supposed to do this. We were supposed to do that. We were supposed to, our family dynamic. I'm not going to say, a lot of times a person can be your person, but you can abort the anointing. You can abort God's plan on your life. We were the ideal couple. She sings, he plays, they're both in church. They both have fun. Both of them are silly, have a good time. They with the girls, they're with the, it was that situation. And he messed up our family. Why? Why this? I even had men coming up to me and saying I was with such and such. And
Oh, wow.
What?
We weren't expecting that one.
What?
And you didn't know any of this. So you were putting yourself in so many types of dangers.
I remember I was in, and again, I won't call names because some people have been on TV and more, or now I've witnessed a man kissing him on the cheek. I've witnessed him commenting his legs, and he said nothing. Those were flags in the very, very beginning. I've witnessed, and it was like, oh, well, they kiss in the, kiss on cheek. That's how they greet in the Bible. Everything was Bible. He had a reason for everything. Yes. I have witnessed, there was a phone call while I was pregnant with my son. There was a phone call, and the phone call was, hey, I got a phone call from this person, from this number, whatever the number was. I got a phone call, and it was saying that, hey, can I get, and this man, he said, I am gay. He said, I want to tell you that. He said, but I did get a message from this person. And I'll be like, did you? And I'm pregnant. I'm going to get myself checked.
Yeah.
I was pregnant with my son. So all of that played back during my therapy. But before I released my book, my therapist said, okay, come on. I'm going to put you on the floor and I'm going to put the prayer cloth over you. I rejected her for a month. I don't know why. All this time, I have not rejected her. But I was like, why do I have to do that? Why do you want me to do that? She didn't pay me no attention, okay? But I didn't realize I was purging.
Yes.
Purging. I was angry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when she put me on the floor, she just started asking questions, just throwing everything out. She gave me, I said, why do we need this tissue? I was like coming against her and everything. And I said, coming against her all of a sudden. So all of it, when she started throwing out the questions and pushing and everything, it was like she was gutting me. She said, because before this book comes out, you're going to need to be gutted out because everything is going to be coming at you. And you got to know how to handle it and you got to be well. And I promise you, I cried like a baby that I had never cried before. I had cried so bad and answering all her questions. And then everything just started spilling out. And I just started talking. She was in tears. And after we finished, we prayed and she said, now you're ready.
Now you're ready.
And so from that point, I learned how to exhale. I learned how to inhale and exhale. Have I had my moments?
Of course.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Have I had moments where things reminded me of things? Yes. When I go to Greensboro, when I'm asked to go to Greensboro to sing or anything like that, guess what? It was a minute because I didn't think people liked me. I didn't want to be around the people that I knew that we were all around together. Even though they didn't have anything to do with him, I had nothing against them. It was nothing that I did to them. I just didn't want to be around. I went on my Facebook page. I started unfriending people, just like I did in my hometown.
Letting it all go, deleting everything.
And
like
I had to tell people
it didn't exist anymore.
I
like
see
that part.
Me. Don't take it personal. I just moving on.
Yes. Yeah.
If you have any part of him in that manner, I don't want to have nothing to do with you.
Yes, and that makes sense. And that's that's protection as well.
Right.
That's a protective mechanism.
It's nothing. If I don't reach out to you, if I don't do it, it's nothing personal. Please don't take it to heart. Just don't want to be around it.
Want to be around. So let's get to Mr. Muhammad because our time is nearing. You said it was 8 years before you were out of a relationship. So tell me how you met Mr. Muhammad.
I was at a party that I did not want to go to. I went to a party. I was helping a friend of mine at the time out to set up that week. And then she invited me to come back to a surprise birthday party. And I was like, I don't want to come back. I was still in my healing ideal. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be bothered. My mom was out of town. My kids were, college. Son was spending time with his dad. And I was home alone and I enjoyed being at home by myself. I didn't feel like being bothered. I wanted to utilize that time. So I ended up going anyway. The birthday boy saw me. He was like, girl, you got me. You got now. I see why you was at my house. And so as we were decorating and stuff. And I said, yeah. And then he asked me, he said, he introduced me. And then of course it was his fraternity brothers. He introduced me to, quite a few of the guys. He was like, y'all, this is my sis. He was just telling everybody and raving about me. And I was like, oh, I said, thank you. And so one of the Omegas came up, started talking to me, very cool, nothing more, not trying to, hey, I like you. He wasn't trying to do that. He was just a real cool guy. And then my husband walked in front of him and introduced himself and started talking. I left out of that conversation. I was like, okay, we were cool. Everything in my mind was business. Now, mind you, before that, I had just had the conversation with the Lord. And sometimes we say this to each other. I was like, if I never get married, I'm good. You be like trying to psych yourself out. And God be like, yeah, right, whatever, you ain't ready. So, but this time when I said it, I said, you know what? God and me and God I had learned to have these conversations
With God. Mm-hmm.
because I will say this, I'm gonna back up a little bit. When that jail conversation, I said, the prayer that I could only pray was our Father who art in heaven, which is the prayer that we are supposed to pray, the Lord's
Mm-hmm.
Prayer. I got in there. My first point of healing was when I was sitting there and I was being released. The magistrate, I went and I got in front of the judge. The judge says to me, I did not go in a cell, but I was fingerprint, all the fun stuff. So the judge said, oh, she's been nice. She's been kind, da, 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 da. He said, I'm going to release her, no bail. So when I sat there on the bench, the lady said to me, I was waiting for the sheriff to finish. I was like, Lord, will she just hurry up? They just talking. Good gosh. She was crying. I ain't paying no attention. The Lord said, I need you to listen. And when I began to listen, she was going through this. She's a sheriff. Her husband was a sheriff. She was going through the same thing I was going through. The difference is when you're in the police department, they cover each other. Yes. So she had no leverage.
Yes, of course.
No leverage, even though she was a police officer as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we got on the elevator and I listened to her and then I began to speak into her. And then she told me what I could do. That was the first point of healing. In any facet that I've had, it's been, I talk about inhaling, exhaling. You know, we have our movie, we have the movie Waiting to Exhale. And each lady went through different facets of things. But then after they finished, they were like, I'm worth it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. When I had the conversation with the Lord this time, and I said, if I never get married, I'm okay. Because I had come to that place where I said, Lord, where are we going today? Jesus, where are we going today? What are we going to do? I want you to go out to dinner. I want you to take yourself out. I've gone to a 5-star restaurant, sat there by myself and enjoyed every bit of it. I've gone to the movies by myself, get my blanket, fall asleep, pay for the movie again and watch it actually. I've gone out of town, went to the beach, a day trip, took myself to the beach, sat on the beach by myself, got back and enough time to pick up my son from school. And I went on by my little business. Moving forward, when I met my husband, not knowing he was my husband, we ended up talking. He was dealing with some things as well. And it wasn't a relationship. We were just friends, you know. I gave him a lot of pushback because he is Muslim and what we profess ourselves to be Christians. And I do that wholeheartedly because technically that is a white man's thing. I just love God. I love Jesus. So I did speak with, we started talking and even the more, and I realized I had a puzzle. I call it a puzzle. There's always those pieces that feel like it fits. My past relationship, you know how those pieces of the puzzle that it looked like it fit, but it's stuck. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just place in.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't just
slide
in.
Exactly. That's how I looked at my last relationship with my father. Mm-hmm. From that point, with this, everything just placed. And I kept looking, I said, well, God, I've been prophesied to, you're going to be a pastor's wife. But I told the Lord, I said, if he's a hoe, I don't want him because I've seen too much. On the collection plate, etc. I've seen too much. And at this point, I don't want that. God gave me what I needed. My husband and I were talking for 6 months. On my birthday, my husband asked me to marry him. I gave him pushback because he was a Muslim. I didn't know how I was going to pray, how we're going to fast, how we're going to do this, how you going to be the head of the household, how you going to do this, how you going to cover me? I had all those questions and I asked him. I reached out to one of my brothers. I was like, what else do I need to ask him? What do I say? I think I'm out of questions. I think I asked him, I could have wrote a whole dissertation about 89-page dissertation just asking him the questions that I was asking him, because I wanted to make, before I got into another relationship, I want to make sure that I ask all the prerequisite questions, so I won't be sitting there. And I needed to see his actions.
Yes.
I need to see his good. I need to see his bad. I need to see, how's your credit? How is this? This is something I can work with, something we can work with together. Only problem that I had never dated a guy. I had everything on my list. He came to everything on my list, except for the religion part and except for the fact that he was not tall and dark. I opened up my journal back that I had written years ago, and he had everything. I was like, and I laughed because I was like, babe, you ain't tall and dark. He was like, well, honey, I am brown, skin, pecan, whatever. And we just laughed. But he fit everything to the table. He fit everything to the key. This is what God gave me. God said, I'm doing this time. You're not doing this. It's all me. So in the process of that, I became Mrs. Muhammad, May 27th, 2020. And we did a private ceremony.
May 27th.
2023.
Okay. Yes, you're still a newlywed.
Yes. So when I say God did it, we pray together, we fast together. He doesn't pressure me. I don't pressure him. And I don't allow people to sit and try to throw that on us as a wife, well, he's Muslim. How does that? I've had questions. How you going to do it? Don't you have to become a Muslim? I said, no. I love Jesus.
Yes. I love this. And this warrants another conversation. Yes. Because we can have a whole interview about two religions coming together, two people coming together. And a lot of times we have this list of all the things that we require. And sometimes the person can meet all the criteria, but sometimes we may let the physical aspect of it deter us.
Right.
So how important is it to look at the heart of a person? And not what we see on the outside, because if we go by what we see on the outside, then we find ourselves sometimes right back in the same situations we were in before.
I didn't think my husband was a choice that I would have chosen before, because we have this thing, he's not my type. But when I say I had to come out of that shell, because a lot of people don't understand, women or men don't understand, something that people think that should be your type is not good for you. It's okay to come out the box. And he was an out the box for me. Now, is he nice looking? Yes. Is he genuine? Yes. Have we had our moments? Yes. Have I liked him? He'd be like, you like me? I'd be like, And then I'll come back and, we'll talk about it or whatever. And if it still feel uncomfortable with the situation, we'll talk about it again if we need to.
However, and I want us to do another interview, because there's so much we could talk about, with your story, having to tell your husband your story, with the acceptance that came along with everything, with the questions that he might have had for you as well. So I want us to get together again to do a part 2. Okay. And thank you. Tell everyone how they can get your book. Hold your book up again and tell the audience how they can get your book.
You can go to Amazon.com and type in Broken to Life, Rhonda Crower. You won't see Muhammad there because I written this before I got married. So you will type in brokentolife.com, Broken to Life, and put in Rhonda Crowder, and it's at the bottom. And from that point, and you will see everything pop up, or you can reach out to me. My number is 336-419-6432, or you can find me on Facebook. Send me a message, text me, don't call me, text me, because I do
And
all these spam calls.
what's your social media platform?
Facebook, you can go on Facebook under Rhonda Crowder Muhammad. And what you will see is you'll see a picture of me and my husband there. And you can go inbox me on Messenger, and I will, you can cash at me at $Lady, Ladi, Rhonda, RHONDAC. And you can cash at me $20, excuse me, 25 because of shipping and handling, and $25, and then I will ship you a book as well.
Great.
So yes, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, all the fun stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Good.